listeners, welcome back to eBay the Right Way. This is episode number 163, and today's date is May 1st, 2024. My guest today is Maggie in North Carolina. Announcements. A quick recap of what's been added to the premium library over the last couple of months. A variety of lessons and updates. I'm focusing more on collectibles at this point because those items hold their value over time. So whether you view the lessons now or at some point in the future, you are getting meaty information. I also give you bulletins each month, which are like little news snippets from the eBay community because it is challenging to keep up with everything, even if you're on social media frequently, and I know a lot of you are not. I also use real-life situations from my own eBay business to give you teachable moments. Hopefully, that will save you some time and money. The bulletins are usually 5 minutes long, so short, sweet, and to the point. Okay, new stuff that has been added. There is a lesson about cracker box ornaments. These have been showing up on the Money Making Mondays, so there is a rich history and following of these items, so you can take that lesson and see what those are all about. There have been 3 bulletins, all between 5 and 10 minutes long, as I mentioned, about updates in the eBay community and some real-life situations that happened to me in my eBay business. There is a lesson on vintage clothing labels because I know more and more people are getting into that, and the labels tell a story, so you've got to know what you're looking at there. There's a Q&A segment, which is an audio, so nothing to look at. You can just listen along. Those are usually between 20 and 30 minutes long and taken from member questions. We've got a brand spotlight on a horse brand. The horse people will already know this one, but that brand has a rich history as well. I've got a cleaning tip and a lesson on collectibles glass insulators. I didn't even know what these were, but this is a huge collectible and people are using these in repurposing and upcycling, making all kinds of cool home decor items out of them. So that's just a quick update on what I've been working on behind the scenes on the Premium Library. So now let's get into the chat with Maggie.
Hello, resellers. Welcome back to another riveting episode of eBay the Right Way. And I mean that seriously because they're all interesting. So I have Maggie with us today. And tell us where you're located.
I'm located in Asheville, North Carolina.
Okay. And I just visited there recently, back in January. So whereabouts are you? North of the city or south or?
Officially, I guess I'm North Asheville. I'm really, I'm up on a hill and in a very wooded area. But I'm just like 7 minutes from downtown. So it's a great location and I have a beautiful view and I'm all about a beautiful view.
Yes, that makes a huge difference in your daily living. Just being able to look out and see nature and I think that has a lot to do with, your attitude and staying grounded and staying positive and all that kind of stuff. So
I totally agree. I never get tired of it. And here in Asheville, we have lots of bears. So because of that, for instance, I don't put my packages out for the post office to collect because they'll, take a bite out of one or move them around. It's so a lot of wildlife up here
Oh,
in my
I see what
wooded
you're
area.
saying. Okay, the wildlife. I was like, the people? No, the
No,
wildlife.
bears. Yes.
Bears.
The
Oh, that's a
bears.
new one. Okay, so
Yeah.
there's my dog ate my homework, and then there's a bear ate my package.
Exactly. I ordered some of those clear mailing bags to put clothes in. And of course, I got home and a corner was ripped and there were like teeth marks through the first 10. And then the bear gave up.
Okay. Okay. That's funny. I actually had a friend when I lived in Charlotte, she was a school teacher and she taught at one of the more rural schools. And some kid came to school one day and was like, my goat ate my homework.
Oh,
And
no.
they were totally
They'll
serious.
eat anything.
They were on a farm and their goat really didn't eat it. The challenges of an eBay seller. They're all
Exactly.
different. Okay. So when you first said that, I thought you said we have a lot of fairs, FAIR, which you do have those too.
We do. We have a lot of beer festivals here at Asheville and music and cooking. Yeah, but no bears.
Yeah, bears.
Black
okay.
bear.
Well, I'll just go ahead and say this, that I was there back in January. That's when I met up with my my teenage love.
I love that.
And then we picked a place to go that was like a neutral city so that, it just wouldn't be as awkward.
Right.
And, we just had a wonderful time and the weather was pretty good. And we went to some restaurants and we just really enjoyed it there. And I'm been
so glad.
A long time. Yeah. My grandparents lived there way back in the 70s and 80s.
Okay.
But yeah, I hadn't been there in a long time. And it was only an hour and a half from Greenville where I was living at the time. So, that's a thing. People go up there and have dinner and stuff. So that's my Asheville connection. We really enjoyed it there. So,
well,
anyway.
I'm so glad.
Yeah,
I grew up here. I love it. Like I moved away for a while, like for college and stuff. But then when I was in my 30s, I moved back, and I've been here like another 30 years. So yeah,
so it's home. Okay. Well, let's jump into what brought you to eBay and when.
So I've been a member. I was looking back at this since December 2002, but I really didn't start selling much on eBay until maybe 2 or 3 years ago. But what brought me to eBay is my son and I were helping my dad move from Eastern North Carolina to a senior living apartment in Asheville. And so it was a, house to a 1-bedroom apartment. So, we mapped out the apartment and picked the furniture he would need. And we went out there to just kind of help with the final part of it. He's like 7 hours away from like complete other side of the state. And he had this big pile of stuff for one last donation to the Salvation Army. And my son picked up medallions from Brook Green Gardens. They were bronze, kind of like paperweight size. And
wait, that's down by
south of Myrtle.
Isn't it?
Near where?
The coast?
Yeah.
It's Brook Green is near Pawleys Island area.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right there. And my brother lived in that area for a while ago. And maybe he gave them to my dad as gifts, or because he worked like helping with the landscaping and cleaning the statues, stuff like that. And so somehow my dad ended up with those, and they were in his donate pile. My son picked them up because my father had said, take, anything you think you might like to have. And then when we got home and the dust settled, my son either wanted some extra money for some traveling or for school or something. And he's like, I want to put these on eBay. So we did, and we put them on auction, and he earned like $1,000 between the two of those. They did really well. There were some Chinese people who were bidding on them, and my son was studying Chinese at the time, and he'd get in and like type things in to communicate. And it was all very exciting. So that happened and kind of put eBay on my radar. And then I have been selling China to replacements in Greensboro for about 15 years. Mm-hmm. And so I'll buy this China, and then, like they won't want the salad plates, or they won't need this or that. And I've bought a whole set. And so I'll sell them, what I can. And then I have these leftover pieces. And I thought, well, I should. And what I do is I store them in my basement and I write them down. And then I flip through like every couple of months and see if their inventory needs have changed.
Okay.
And I thought, well, while I'm waiting, I might as well list these pieces on eBay and see if I can sell them that way, because China's kind of a long tail item. And so I retired from my nurse practitioner job about 2 years ago. And then I started working on eBay more. So that's how I came to eBay. Long rambling story, but
no, it's everybody's got a story of how you got there. But are you still doing the replacements.com?
I am. Yes. That's kind of, because, they might not pay a lot, but I know what they'll pay if my stuff's in the condition that they need it to be in. And it needs to be in really good, like a lot of wear, a chip, a scratch, forget it. You cannot sell it to them. But that's kind of, it's a little more predictable than eBay. Like that kind of got me through the January through March slow time for me. I just really doubled down on the China. And yeah.
Well, I love that you brought that up, and I would like to dig into that deeper, because I don't think I've had anybody on the podcast that uses that regularly, replacements.com, as an income stream. Would you be willing to share some tips or talk about that a little bit more? Or is it really, I feel like maybe it's not really competitive, because you got to have the right thing.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hello and welcome to the Waking Up to Grace podcast, where we celebrate and explore the finished work of our Lord, Jesus Christ. The Waking Up to Grace podcast can be found on every major platform. And now, here's Lenny.
Yeah. I mean, you do. I mean, the way it works is they have a program. And so for it's called the Star Supplier Program.
Okay.
And so and I discovered this driving back and forth to my dad's. They give tours at replacements. And my brother's like, let's stop and go on a tour. And so we did, and we found out about this program, and I had an antique booth at the time, and I thought that I, was having trouble making rent on, and I thought, this might be something. And so what you do is you pay an annual fee, and they share their inventory needs. So they share, the manufacturer, the pattern, all the piece types, what they'll pay for each piece type, and what quality they're looking for. So like it's 1 to 5. So a quality of 1 means it really needs to be an unused, pretty new condition. And then like the older stuff can be 4 or 5, which means they'll accept like a little bit of crazing and maybe some wear, a little, never too much. I mean, when you buy something from replacements, it looks nice and it's expensive. And so they don't buy pieces that need too much work. But, and so let's see. So when I started, they gave you like this big fat book, and it didn't have pictures, and it had like a lot of confusing abbreviations. But luckily, shortly after I joined, they upgraded their website. So the suppliers get access to their inventory numbers, and there are pictures. And so it's kind of easy when you're on the go to look stuff up and see, and again, usually it's not a ton of money, but they'll buy it quickly every once in a while they'll really be looking for something. Like I found a Gorham Nativity Crystal Ox, like in November maybe, and it had these little gold antlers, which I guess are easy to break. And I found it at an estate sale that I regularly go, like they have them twice a month. And it was like $20 and I sold it to them for $800. And I mean, that rarely happens.
Really? That was going to be my next question, was what kind of prices do you get based on what replacements it's going to flip it for? Do you get like a third or a half, or it just depends on what the market is demanding at that time?
So, they might sell, a dinner plate for like, let's just say $50. They might pay me $4 or $5 a plate. So it's much, much, much lower than they sell it for. But there's always like a button on the replacements website where you're like, find this item for me. You can click it if you're really looking for something. And I think the stuff that they pay big bucks for are things that they've gotten a lot of requests for and they just don't have any. So then to get the things, they'll increase the price way up just to get everybody
so
looking
the resellers are like, okay, this is worth it to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is very interesting because I've never thought about, I shy away from breakables. Everyone knows that. It's just not my thing. But now I have a lot more storage area. I have a person to help me carry heavy stuff.
Yeah.
All the things that are going to make it attractive to delve into some of these categories I've been avoiding. But so the big question, and I know all the listeners are thinking this, is how do you figure out what to look for that they buy, I guess, on a regular basis, or is it constantly changing? You just have to keep looking everything up.
You have to keep looking everything up. I mean, some stuff, well, I guess to be sure, you have to keep looking everything up. So their inventory kind of, my cell phone's my best friend. It's really easy to just log onto the website. And so if I find like Noritake, this pattern, I can get in there. I can take a quick scan and see, they're paying this for the dinner plates. I have a chance to buy 10 of them or a whole set for this. And then I kind of figure out, can I make enough money to make it worth it to me to buy this whole set? And so that kind of answers. So I just do it like when I'm out, if I see something that looks good, I'll look it up. And of course, I have my things that I like to look up and my things that I'm not crazy about looking up, like some of the newer stuff that I know is made in China and like that stuff. I'll usually pass unless it looks like it's in, really new condition. And if I like the pattern, I'll take a minute and I'll look it up. But after all these years of doing it, I've kind of am like, no. And then I'll see something and it'll be like, and then I'll look it up. So, that's how I think.
Here's a question for you, because I see this all the time. And my mother had this. I think everyone's mother had it. The false graph beige with the brown little doodad in the middle.
It's like Village or yes.
Yeah.
That
and
one.
I see that all the time. And it's like, does any of that, one side of me says, do the bigger pieces, the soup tureen and the canisters. And then the other side of me says, they're going to be more likely to replace a plate or a mug that broke when they were unloading the dishwasher or whatever. So do you have any insight on that?
I guess I do. So false graph is one of the patterns where I feel like I have to be really careful because a lot of that stuff is still produced. And so if Replacements buys it from me, they're going to want it in that number one pristine condition. Mm-hmm. So if it has wear, I'm not going to be able to sell it to them. But then that pattern has so many pieces And it is like, and it is hard to predict what they'll be looking for. But I mean, I've come across the tureens before and I've thought, oh, this looks good. And so I carefully check them for chips. And if it looks like it's in good shape, I'll look it up. And sometimes they're like $5. And, of course, the thrift store's what's 20. And so I'm like, well, I can't make any money off this. So it's like, I'll leave this behind. But the last thing in that pattern, I think I almost bought, there's that kind of tan one. And then there's another one that's like white with blue that they make that's also really popular. I can't remember.
Yes, I see that one too. Uh-huh.
Yeah. They had these cups that had like a ceramic insert, and then the outside of them had like cut metal design. And so you fit the cups in there. And I guess they were for some sort of like hot drink. And I found those at a thrift store, and I put a bunch of them in my cart. And then, but then I put them back because I was going to make about $1 a thing. And I was like, you have enough stuff at home, and it's going to be a lot of work because you have to clean it all up and log it all in and triple check for chips, because you do get dinged if you give replacement stuff to sell and it doesn't meet their quality. Once you get to 10%, they fine you. I mean, fine is maybe the wrong word, but you have to pay a fee. And so I was like, this is where I get into trouble with condition. And I was like, I'm just going to put these back. So that one, those false graft patterns are tricky. They are. Some of them I've sold and done okay, but there's a lot of it out there, I guess, is the thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And not false graft specifically, but you're saying obviously the less there is of something, the more it's going to be worth. And you want to figure out those patterns and manufacturers that aren't made anymore. They're going to be more sought after because there's less of them.
Right. And if people want it, it's all about replacements. Customers are they looking for it?
So does it work like, as the star seller, you upload your information to replacements.com and then they buy it from you and you ship it to replacements and then they ship it on to the final customer? How does that part work?
We'll be back after a quick break.
Money is all around us, and we think about it more than almost every other aspect of our lives. But how can we make more of it, and what's our drive for building wealth beyond just the numbers in our bank account? Join us on the Make More podcast as our host Matt Heslin brings to you a dynamic lineup of experts in the world of investing, business, health, and beyond. Together, they unpack the secrets to not just surviving, but thriving in today's economy. It's about more than just wealth. It's about crafting life experiences, seizing opportunities, and building a legacy. Subscribe now to the Make More with Matt Heslin podcast and join us every week for new expert insights and inspiration.
So what I do is when I pull up those inventory numbers, there's a place off to the side where if I've found four pieces of something that I want to sell them, I can just put in 4 and then save it. And then after I do that, then they know I have 4 things I want to sell them. After I do that, I have 60 days to get that stuff to them. And what I do, since I'm just 2.5 hours away, I mean, I have a Toyota Corolla hatchback, and I have these red packing crates that they're about maybe 14 inches high by, maybe 3 feet or something. And I fill those up. I can stack them in my car. I can fit 18 in there, maybe 19. And as soon as I fill up my car in that, 2 months, I drive them down there, drop them off, and then they evaluate them.
Okay.
And so that way I don't have to pay to ship the stuff to them. Because if I had to pay, I'm paying for gas and wear and tear on my car. But if I had to,
you can write off that mileage, and
I do. I totally write that off.
Yeah. And these days with shipping, things are getting lost and stuck, and having to file a claim for anything broken is such a hassle.
It is.
I would
Yeah.
be totally on board with that drive. And then you can hit some thrift stores and do some other things along your route.
Yeah, I have a couple on the way back. There's a thrift store, a Goodwill, that I always find something good there. I guess it's kind of out of the way. It's outside of Winston-Salem. And that, I stop and it gives me a break. And there's like a bakery there where I can get a sandwich. I make it as fun as possible for all that driving.
Right.
And I catch up in your podcasts.
Where is the headquarters that you drive
to? It is, so from Asheville, you just get on 40 and it's on the other side. Like they'll say it's in Greensboro, but it's in a little town just right on, you pass the airport exit for Greensboro and then it's kind of right there.
Okay, Greensboro. Okay.
And it's close to the interstate. It's really easy to get off the interstate and back on and to make an appointment to drop things off. And it usually takes me 15 minutes to drop stuff off. It's, you just load your stuff on a pallet and leave.
What is the fee for the star seller, the annual fee?
So it's $150 a year, but to get that rate, I need to sell them $5,000 minimum of stuff a year. Mm-hmm. If I don't make that, it goes up to close to $2,000 for the fee, which I wouldn't want to pay. Like if I can't meet that 5,000,
So you've got to be able to have some volume there. I use replacements all the time for price research, and sell all kinds of stuff. They have Christmas ornaments. They have like Yadro porcelain
figurines. Yeah,
it's not just people think it's just dishes. It's all kinds of things.
Crystal, flatware, collectibles. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was a wonderful introduction to how that works, because I know resellers are always looking for additional streams of income, another way.
Yeah.
So something for people to look into. And I didn't even know we could delve into that topic. So thank you for all that.
Helpful for me over the years. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's move on to some things you've sold and some stories, because you do post on the Money Making Mondays and I've seen some great sales.
Well, you realize I'm such a beginner at eBay. I really am. But I do have some exciting sales. Let's see. So I found, I think they're exciting anyway. I found some 2021 Biden-Harris inauguration champagne flutes at a Goodwill, and they were just mixed in with all the crystals. So I paid, $1.07 for each of them. Mm-hmm. And I sold those for $45. So I was excited about that. I don't know who in Asheville went to the Biden-Harris inaugurational, celebration, but clearly someone did. And those glasses made it in there.
How about that?
Yeah. So I thought that was neat. And then that same Goodwill, I'm a caregiver, like so many of your sellers. I have an older dad who's in skilled nursing now, and I have a disabled brother that I check on. But part of my routine is I'll go to my exercise class. Then there's a Goodwill, and I'll stop there. Then I'll go eat lunch with my father, because that's just a good way for us to interact. And I do that 3 times a week. And so same Goodwill, I found this Hermetise skincare stuff, and apparently it's very pricey. I was kind of looking in preparation for this, and I have one. I bought 3 of them. So 2 of them were $4 each. One was $3 each. I've sold 2 different products: a collagen moisturizer and a age-defying cream, each for $100. And
wow,
I know. And I have one gold thermal power mask left, and it looks like it's listed on their website for $2,000.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
I have it listed for like 175, but I'll take decent best offers all the time. Like if I get a good one, I mean, I have $4 in this, I'll sell it. But it has like gold in it, and like they crush up pearls and just all these expensive ingredients. And
Uh-huh.
the last box of that I sold went to Switzerland, which I thought was exciting. And then,
Yes.
yeah, and one of them that I sold, the first one I sold went somewhere in North Carolina. So, and those were just like mixed in, and I picked them up and quickly checked them out on eBay. And I'm like, oh, these could be good. I'll invest $10 to see what happens. I did leave one behind because it had expired, and listening to the podcasts and that sort of thing, I was like, I'm not going to try to sell something that is expired on eBay. So I passed on one of them.
Okay.
And then let's see, at one of my, like, going to an estate sale, I found a piece of folk art that I thought did well. It was this rooster, and it was wood, and it was just like maybe 12 to 14 inches. It was really skinny and tall, and then it had like a tail, and then the end of the tail had these wood shavings that kind of made feathers, and it was painted like a bright red with white polka dots, and carved. And I thought, well, that looks interesting. You can go to previews for this estate sale. And so I was previewing, and I picked it up, and I looked on the bottom, and it was signed Lonnie and Twyla Money. And so I took a picture of it, and then I came home that night and I Googled it, and saw some listings for a couple $100 on eBay. And then I found their website, and they do all these neat carved animals. They're based in Kentucky. And so like at this estate sale that I like, the system is that they pass out numbers at 8 in the morning, and then you have to be back in line by 9:45, and then they let people in the order of their numbers. And there are a few people that like will spend the night there. They'll have their camping gear and they'll just set up. I do not do that, but I will like get up at 5:45 in the morning and grab my coffee and go. And in the winter, it's really cold, bundle up and go get in line. But that sale, my son wanted to buy a Mahjong set. And so he was like, I doubt I'm the only one who wants it. But he's like, if I don't get this, I'll be bummed. And I'm like, well, get this rooster for me. It was $12. I'm like, pick that up. And I'm like, get this set of Noritake china while you're there, after you get your thing. And so he was there really early, like in the first 10, and he grabbed it. And so I listed that Kentucky twig rooster. And somebody from the board of directors at an art museum in Kentucky bought it for, sent me an offer of $100, and I took it. I might have held out for more, but I wasn't positive that one of those shaving tail feathers hadn't broken off. And so I just didn't feel comfortable charging a ton. I mean, $100 for $12, that I'm into. I love that.
Good for you.
So that sold. That I thought was really exciting. And let's see, at my dad's senior living center, where I am like all the time, they have a little secondhand shop, and during COVID, they were my best source of china, because I bought so much of it. I had a contact, and she used to sell to replacement. So she kind of was familiar with how it worked. And so if they cleaned out an apartment or something, because sometimes people will like move from independent living to assisted living, and it'll be smaller, or assisted living to skilled living, and they'll need to get rid of things, and they'll still have their china in the apartment. If they cleaned out an apartment and somebody had donated all that stuff, she'd be like, Margaret, come, or I go by Maggie too. Come look at it and see what you think. And what I do is I total up what I could sell it to replacements for, I thought, and I'd pay them half of that. And just on the spot, I'd pack it up and I'd take it away. But management changed. And so they aren't allowed to do that anymore. I don't buy china from that place anymore. They just never seem to have it. Or if they do, it's out of my price range. And but they do sometimes have clothes. And again, they're getting pricier, but sometimes some of the clothes slip by. And so I found Oscar de la Renta, like kaleidoscope kimono kind of Kafgan thing. And so I was able to buy that for $10 from them, and I sold it for $78.
Oh,
I had it
very
listed.
good.
Yeah, I had it listed a little higher, but it had been up for a while and somebody made an offer and I took it. Yeah. So that was good. Yeah. So sometimes they have some nice clothes that sneak through, and I do like vintage clothes. If I can find the right thing. And, my mom died, I guess about 8 years ago. And she really liked like style and art. Those were her superpowers. She was just really into fashion and, had like this great kind of costume jewelry collection. And she loved the clunky, like, the designer who died, whose first name was Iris. And she wore like,
absolutely. Yes.
that lady.
And she's very iconic with her giant glasses.
Yes. My mother channeled her, I think.
It's like, why do you need glasses as big as your head? But that was her
look,
iconic look. Yeah, she just did that. And everybody knows her for her giant glasses.
Yeah, my mom didn't wear the giant glasses, but she wore like the big necklaces and like the chunky bracelets and was always like jingling around. She looked great. But she really liked that Langen look style of clothing. And her favorite designer was Runholz, which is a German designer. And I know what she paid for that stuff because we went shopping together sometimes at this little shop in Raleigh. And so I had all those pieces, and I think I still have some. I guess it's kind of hard to let go of some of that, but every once in a while I'll pull one out, and I'm always I have to be in the mood to deal with those clothing pieces because they're asymmetric. They're usually wrinkly, and they're kind of supposed to be like that. And I'm never sure, like, should I iron them? How do I measure these? But, and then they're expensive. So I always worry, about flaws. But anyway, those the ones I've put up have done pretty well for me. Like, she was really into jackets. And so I have quite the collection of Runholz jackets and some shirts and then these weird trousers that are like, they fall to mid calf and they have a drop crotch. They're not my style at all, but they looked great on her with the cool jacket and the chunky jewelry. So I've got a few of those up, and the pieces I've sold have done well. And I mean, I have nothing invested in them, so that's good. And then also in her closet, she had some like late 60s, early 70s outfits. And the two that I've sold, and I think I'm out of those outfits now. I might need to go back. My brother lives in that house. I might need to go through the closet some more. But it's Malcolm Starr. And so like in the 60s, she would wear like this. I sold this one for like $300. It was like a sheath dress in like this was probably 70s, a 70s pattern. Then it had, and it was like, it fell to maybe above or just at the knee. And then it was like a matching jacket that went over it. And she would wear that with gold lame boots. And I mean, it was quite something. And so I sold that on eBay really quickly for $300. And I had a magazine picture of like a model wearing that outfit. And then the person who bought it, I could see that she in turn listed it for like 1,000 and something, but she had that up for, over a year, waiting for the right buyer. And she had like a whole store of vintage clothing. So I was like fine with my quick $300 and let her do the long one. Yeah. So there was that. And then, let me see what else I put on my list. I found this. I thought was an unusual one. I found like a speech therapy tool for. I think it was for kids with lisps, and it came. It was used. It came in like this metal box with padding, and it was just. It kind of looked like a pen, but then on the end it had like a soft rubber curly cue, and the idea was you put it in your mouth and you do something with that curly cue to practice R sounds, and it had instructions and words with R's, and I bought that for $1 and saw they were listed on eBay for around $100, but I sold it for $45, and that just took maybe 6 weeks or so. I like sterilized it, and
but it's
disclosed that
you don't see all the time. So
I was like, oh, this maybe I'll see what it does. So
for $1, you can't go wrong there.
No, and then let's see what other interesting. Oh, recently I sold the. I enjoy selling ephemera too, especially from Western North Carolina. And there's a Friday night auction that I like to go to. They used to have it every Friday night. It's like a son-in-law and a father-in-law team. The older one has turned the business over to his son-in-law, but they're both so funny and just. If nothing else, those auctions are so entertaining. And I mean, I've been going since my son was like 6 or 7. Like we used to go together. And so now they have them every other Friday and in a different place, because where they used to be is now a brewery like that it's down near the river in Asheville, which is a whole river arts district thing. So they moved to kind of outside of town, but I bought it was just a box of I still have to go through the rest of the box, but just kind of some prints maybe that came out of a book. And anyway, I spent I think about $2.20 actually on this whole lot, but they had a Camp Mondamin brochure from their 11th season, which was in the 1930s. And Camp Mondamin has been in existence for over 100 years. And it's in this place outside of Asheville called Tuxedo, North Carolina. And I knew about that because in high school, I worked at a nearby camp taking care of horses. Oh. That was like my summer job. Yes. And so I saw that and I thought, well, that's really cool. And, I don't think the other stuff in the lot is all that great. And I thought, well, maybe nobody else will want it. And I think just other people at the auction, weren't familiar with it or didn't want to buy like an old brochure from the camp. But so I got it and I listed that the next day and then by the next, so 3 days later after buying it, it sold for $53. And I was like, well, that's exciting. Yeah. So I liked that. And then same auction, I bought a table lot of stuff, which, I really struggle with. I buy more stuff than I can list. And so it's, stuff is everywhere. My family loves that. Yeah.
Do I need to come shop in your basement?
Probably. So I bought a table lot and it had some dishes that I immediately sold to replacements. So I spent again like a couple of dollars for this whole table lot. So I got my money back right away, and I'm still going through that stuff, but it was pretty good. I got like a little all clad skillet was in there, which I kept. And then I found this little box of Victorians were really into mourning for a period of time after somebody died.
Mm-hmm.
And so the original box, and it said Victorian, or no, it didn't say, I think it just said mourning pins, and they were just straight pins that were black. And so I guess if you needed to pin your veil on or pin some clothings, and, the original box looked interesting and old. And I put those on auction because I just wasn't quite sure. And they sold the first time around for $46. And it was just this tiny little box of stuff. So
there's just so much out there. You say that, like you go to these auctions and like, oh, is there going to be anything left? And there's other people there. Are they going to get all the good stuff? And just, everybody that does this is like, okay, there's going to be something for me. Everybody's looking at different things. So you just have to go in with that mentality of, I'm going to come away with some cool stuff. Maybe things I've never heard of, never seen, don't even know what they are, but there's so much stuff out there.
So much. Yeah. And I of course, I always feel like I'm going to miss something. And it's like, I keep telling myself, until you catch up, you need to pass on some of these things. And so I'm trying. My son and his 80-pound Bernedoodle are probably going to move back in with me end of July. And so I put, my house is mostly on one level, and then I have a basement downstairs. And I have this grand piano in the living space that I'm saving for my son. I don't play, but he did. And my dad did. And so he got that from my dad with the move. And so whenever I buy something like the china, I don't like to carry up and down the stairs.
Right.
And so until I get it packed up in the red crates, I just put it under the piano. And so the under the piano area is embarrassing because you walk in the front door and you see the under the piano area. So that has got to be picked up before they move back. The china I'll get out of here, but there's other stuff under there too that I've felt like has to come home with me. So I have a project.
Okay. Well, what are your plans for your eBay business? Is it supplementing retirement? Are you currently working another job?
It's supplementing retirement. So I was working as a neurology nurse practitioner locally, and I did that for close to 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then this for-profit company called HCA bought our Asheville nonprofit hospital, and it's been kind of a big to-do ever since. The for-profit, of course, cut a lot of staff and doesn't have quality patient care metrics that guide them like the nonprofit did. And so I quit that job. And so then I went to work for an oncology service with a doctor I'd worked with for years. And he had a lot of brain tumor patients, which as part of neurology, I was used to treating. And like the last 5 years of neurology was, I focused on seizure management, and that's kind of a big issue with brain tumors. And so anyway, I worked with him for about 1.5 years. But then he was retiring, and I got caregiver fatigue. So it was, so I have this older father, right, who moved to skilled nursing. Then my brother has schizophrenia, and he lived with my mother. But then when she died, I became his person. And so it just, I started to just be really grumpy, and I wasn't sleeping well. And I felt like somebody always needed something from me. You know, if it wasn't a patient, it was my family. And I was like, something's got to give. And I really like my family. And I was like, it's not going to be my family. So I thought, all right, I'm retiring. So I retired and I had some savings. And I have a dad who he's like, it's, if you need money, it's going to be okay. So I have a safety net. And so between the safety net and my savings, I'm like, I'm just going to do replacements and eBay, use my savings and take care of my family and sleep.
And yourself. Well, and I really admire you for speaking out and saying this publicly that, your life just got to be too much.
It was too much.
You have to figure out that balance. And, we're not getting any younger. And
no.
The older you get, the more energy it takes to get through every day. And I'm feeling that too with this, this moving my personal, my business, this house, every day it's just so much. And like last week, I slept for an entire day. I didn't even pick up my phone. I'm like, what is wrong? I started looking up diseases. Like, what do I have that is making me so
overwhelmed?
And it was just really physical exhaustion because I'm one of these people that just crams as much as I can into every day. And then I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. I can't do anything, and we all have that window of whatever it is for you, that 5-hour window where you're at your best.
Right.
Get it all done. And I know after 3:00 in the afternoon, forget it. I can't focus. I can't think. I don't want to do anything. I'm good first 5 hours of the day, but I just really had to step back and, I'm not a caregiver, but I understand there is a fatigue that goes with that, but it's just like looking at the last few months of my life and packing and getting ready to do this big move to a state I've never been to except once.
It's huge.
And it was a lot of new things at one time, getting the internet working, getting my technology set up, getting an office, having, I didn't have a place to go with a door for a month. And that's terrible when you're used to living alone. Like, I just need a room that has a door on it that I can close, So,
like, where's my space? Yeah.
And your whole body is just tired. It's just like, it's a feeling like I've never felt. I had mono in high school and that was tired. And I've had children and after having a baby, you're tired. And I had anemia about 10 years ago and had to have a blood transfusion. And this is different. This is like your whole body is just like, stop. So I just want to put that out there that I'm a regular person too. You're a regular person. We all have our limits. And you got to figure out the balance. And, we want eBay in there because that's our fun.
That's fun.
Where you don't even notice the time passing. You're in your zone, you're in the flow, you're working on stuff. And you have to build that into your day so that, you have a lot of responsibility looking after people and and just in your family. And that's very stressful.
Yeah, they make it as easy as possible for me. They're lovely, but and it took me a long time with my job to kind of realize. And I mean, I was right at 60, maybe 59 when I did it, and that one of the final straws was when my dad moved to skilled nursing, and he'd fallen, and he'd cut his head. I mean, his assisted living apartment looked like a crime scene, because I went over, like he showed up in the ER, like in a pull up and a bloody t-shirt. And so like he had to stay because he had a little subdural hematoma from that. And they were watching it to make sure it wasn't getting bigger. And so I had to go to his apartment to get some clothes. And so he'd have something to wear when they discharged him. And so it happened like on a Friday night, and the cleaning people hadn't had a chance to get in there and clean it up. But I was just, I knew I knew there would be blood, but I was just the visual. I'm just like, oh my goodness, we were getting ready to move him to skilled nursing. And then of course that happened. And so, with the staffing at the hospital, I pretty much stayed, like I would come home and sleep, but I pretty much stayed there during the day. I'd get there early in the morning and I'd stay till like 9. And I just thought, oh my goodness. And so we got into skilled nursing. And then here I am and I'm like working and stuff still. And it's like a 50 to 55 hour a week kind of job, sometimes a little more. And I'm in the infusion room with it, supervising as the nurse practitioner in case anybody had a complication, all these people getting their chemo. Luckily, it was kind of near the end of the day, like at 4. And I get this call from my father. He's like, I'm at the doctor's office. I'm all alone. Nobody else is here. And I'm just like, oh my God. And so I like heard somebody in the background and I'm like, well, I hear somebody in the background. Clearly someone else is there. And I'm like, can you please put them, because I'm trying to figure out, did he go to the doctor or is he just in skilled nursing and he's confused? And I'm like, well, put them on the phone. And he did. And I'm like, is he in skilled nursing? And they're like, yes. And he'd just gotten confused about where he was, what was going on. And I just felt terrible because here I am at work. I'm like, I'll come by and just say hi, on my way home. And then another time after I'd visited him at skilled nursing, he kind of got teary. And I'm like, I just need to be more available. And that's when I finally had the gumption to give my notice, which the notice was like, 3 months. It went, you get
yeah, you give your notice and you're like, I want to be done tomorrow. I don't want to work for 3 more months.
And then 3 months later, I finally got to leave. But yeah, that was just the final straw. I'm like, I just can't, I can't balance all this anymore. I really can't.
It's not unique to people in our age bracket. It's, that's life. Sometimes you just have to say, something's got to go. I can't keep all this going. There's just too much on my plate.
Yeah.
And, we all know tomorrow's not guaranteed.
No.
I learned that last year, boom, 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 all in a row, these people dying. And it's just, that really motivated me to have a life that I love and take this, it wasn't really a risk, but make this change to
big change,
have happiness. Yeah. And it did involve a lot of work to get here. We're still working really hard on everything. And, with remodeling, it's not like, oh, let's just redo this room. It's like, we got to figure out what you're going to do and you got to order the stuff. Oh, that's on back order for 2 months. Or
it always takes forever.
Yeah. And living rural, it's like, well, we can't deliver it for 3 more weeks because, it takes a special, not everything is FedEx or UPS. Sometimes it's a independent delivery company and just everything is like moving through molasses. Like, are we ever going to get and you're working on stuff and, there's a problem here. You got to step back and reevaluate what you're doing. And so I've never been in this situation to do like a complete remodel, but like every room has got stuff going on because, we're waiting on this to come for that room. So we're going to move on over here and do this thing in this other room. And then sometimes you got to hire people to do it because, while Leith can do a lot of things, he can't do everything and he can't do it all by himself. So, then you got to wait for people to be available and just, it's a lot to coordinate.
It is a lot, but while you're in the remodel mode, you might as well get it all done.
Yes.
I guess. And you're going to love it once it's finished. Yes. And it will finish. It's just going to take like forever. I remember like living downstairs with my cat for like months. It's just, and we had to like move all the furniture out of the upstairs because we were redoing the kitchen floor. And as part of that, we thought, well, we might as well, whatever you do to hardwood floors when you refurbish them. And so I had to move all the furniture, or I didn't move it, but coordinate that. So I had no furniture upstairs because we were doing that. And finally I was just like, I just settled in and I'm like, I guess this is going to be how it is. I mean, it took just forever. And then suddenly they were done, and so,
Yeah. And you just have to keep telling yourself this is temporary. And I think we made it over the hump when we got the internet installed and it's what I need. It's not, I don't have to go anywhere to the library or whatever to do my work. We got the family room. Like, let's focus on one room that's done that we can sit in. And because when I first got here, I tell you what, I'm like, what have I done? Have I moved in? Have I moved in with Fred Sanford? Because they were just going everywhere. And that was the thing, was they had redone the floors in the entire house, and you have to move everything out of the way. So all this stuff was piled up in the back bedrooms, and it's like, what is this? All this junk everywhere. Oh my God, what have I done? Oh, and I couldn't leave. I'm here.
You're like, I've committed now.
So it gets better, and we have a little game like, okay, what one thing are we going to accomplish today?
I think that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, we're going to order window treatments for this room, or we're going to put together this thing that came from. We've been ordering a lot off of Wayfair because it's like IKEA. You have to put it together, the furniture, and because number one, in furniture stores, it's like 3 times more expensive, and they charge you an arm and a leg to deliver rural. It costs as much as the furniture to have it delivered out.
Oh gosh.
So, we're like an hour from St. Louis and an hour from Springfield. So we're like, that's not worth it. Unless it's a couch or something that has to, it comes that way. But, we've been furniture assemblers like at night. Okay, let's put this one thing together. And eventually it'll all catch up. But there's just, like we were talking about, all kinds of burnout and fatigue depending on what's going on in your life. And sometimes, I just resolved after about a month, I'm like, it's just going to be messy for a while.
It will.
In my office, I have a room with a door I can close and do my work. And it's just going to be messy. It won't be forever.
No, it won't. It really won't.
We're both like, this is the last time we're doing this. This is going to last for the rest of our lives.
Like once this is done, it's good.
Yeah,
it's going to be perfect.
The goal is to get the house done and then start taking some trips and like enjoying life and enjoying each other, and not everything be so stressful. So,
right.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
I told I talk a lot on these podcasts. You're my therapist.
It's interesting. Is that where you found all those milk bottles in the back bedroom?
Yes. And so it's like a treasure trove. I am getting a death pile too, because things just appear in my office. Oh, I found this in the basement. I found this out in the shed. What do you think? Or we're dismantling all the old tech, like he had DirecTV with the satellite, which is terrible.
Oh.
And so we switched over to Starlink satellite for everything, and it's wonderful. And so we're doing streaming now. And of course, now we got to get a new TV, and his TV's like stuff like that. Because he didn't care. He just did what he could do. But anyway, getting all that kind of stuff done really got us over the hump. But he'll bring stuff up like, what about this? Can you sell this? And I really haven't had to go looking for things to sell. They just kind of appear. And then, the workers that are here, they bring stuff too. And they don't even want the money for it. They're like, well, could she sell this? I don't want to throw it in the landfill. And I'm like, just bring it over. So,
there you go.
Yeah, that's the silver lining to being in the middle of a remodel. It's like, well, what are we going to do with the old stuff? Let's see if it's worth anything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what's on your schedule today?
Well, this is the Thursday where that estate sale happens, and I clearly I was not in line at like 6 o'clock this morning, but there were a couple of pieces of china. And I'll probably just run over there and see if they're still there. And if they are, I'll try to get those. And then I'll come home and, and I have to take something to the post office, an eBay sale. But then, what I try to do, and this is a very modest goal, is to list 3 things on eBay every day. Mm-hmm. And I've like taken pictures. I'm good to go. I just need to sit down and do it. And so I'll do that. And then, maybe take some pictures, because it's like a sunny day and the light's really good for taking pictures of clothes. Right. So I'll do that. And then I have dinner with my brother this evening. So like at 5. So that is my exciting life. But I like it. It's
well,
fun.
And that's all that matters, that you're happy and you enjoy the pace of your life, and it's all manageable. And, that's the goal we all aspire to, is, your time is your own. You can do what you want. And
right.
I realized this last week, like, I don't have to work as hard as I've worked my entire eBay life, because the work is done. You've got your store set up, what you like to sell, you've got things listed. And if you need to take a day or 2 to just chill out and do nothing, you've done the work, and it's just, it's in the pipeline, and things will sell. And just for the listeners who are like me and type A, just don't beat yourself up if you aren't working all the time. Because, we don't want to work. We don't want to work our entire lives and then get to the end of it and go, I don't think anybody ever said, yeah, I didn't work enough. I should have worked more. They're more like, I should have taken more vacations. I should have done more things I wanted to do on my list, spent more time with people I enjoy being with, all of that. Right. And it's the type A people. It's just, that's how we are. Thank you for being my therapist today.
Oh, thank you for being mine. It always motivates me to, I don't know, just a different little curly Q on the whole eBay thing. Just makes it more fun, more interesting.
Well, it's great to meet you, and we'll look for more of your sales on the Facebook group.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thanks. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, Maggie. I really learned a lot from you. Okay, on to today's trivia question. Since Maggie mentioned her, who was Iris Apfel, A-P-F-E-L? Here's a few seconds to think about it. Okay, and if you look her up, you will recognize this lady. Iris Apfel, born August 29th, 1921, died March 1st, 2024, so she lived to be 102 years old, was an American businesswoman, interior designer, fashion designer, known for her flamboyant style, outspoken personality, and oversized glasses. In business with her husband Carl from 1950 to 1992, Apfel had a career in textiles, including a contract with the White House that spanned 9 presidencies. In retirement, she drew acclaim for a 2005 show at the Costume Institute at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, featuring her collection of costume jewelry and styled with clothes on mannequins as she would wear them. She's become a fashion icon, was the focus of the 2014 Albert Maysles documentary Iris, and then signed to IMG in 2019 as a model at age 97. So with great respect, I give you that quick bio of Iris Apfel. Do a quick Google search. You'll know who she is. Next week, my guest is Dan, who's been selling on eBay since it started. He is a savvy Gen Xer, and we had a great conversation walking down memory lane discussing some of the things he sold. Okay, that wraps up another episode. Thank you for supporting this podcast by listening to it, and I hope you have an outstanding week on eBay. Talk to you next week. Bye for now.